this is the only month where we have the topic continued coming over in the month of July, because the topic was such that we felt that this topic needs a lot more attention, a lot more time, a lot more going into the detailing, because sometimes as business owners, as leaders, as entrepreneurs, as startup founders, we don't realize the importance of the topic, and it starts to negatively impact our business, sometimes leading to closing down of the business as well. And the topic is, are you fulfilling your brand promise? It's such an important topic because everyone understands that yes, branding is important, but what about the promise? The first thing is, have you clearly defined your brand promise? What is your brand promise statement? What all does it include? In short, the brand promise is a statement that can very easily resonate with your prospects, your clients, your loyal customers, because it's their need, it's their want that we incorporate. We make it a mission, we make it our core values within the organization and externally to operate. When we clearly define the brand promise, it becomes so much more easier to relate to our customers, to market our brand promise to our customers, our products and services to our customers. If this is not done clearly, if the brand promise is not defined clearly, that's when we have seen businesses struggling, spending a lot of money in marketing and trying to sell, and their closing sales rate is very poor because the customers in the beginning itself have not been aligned. They don't resonate with what you're trying to do, what you're trying to solve, what you're trying to provide it to them. They don't know clearly. Even if you're putting in a lot of money in marketing and sales and the sales team, it's difficult for them because the customers who are coming are not aligned. They don't know what you really want to provide them, what you want to stand for. And that makes a lot of difference. And that's the reason Beck and I, we decided together that this is one topic that we are going to be covering over 2 months, because the topic is huge and we have a lot of things to share. So this is the continuation of the last month. So if you were live or if you have watched any of our recorded last month's video, you would know that we are continuing from the previous month. And this month is going to be equally important. So stay tuned, be with us, and we are going to be taking it one by one. What do you
Awesome.
say, Beck?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Amit. Lovely introduction to catch up from last month. So we've still got loads to get through, and I think you're going to kick us off with continuing on from where we are or where we were.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So I think last month we stopped at educate yourself as one of the key characteristics of building your brand promise. And taking off from there, the next key characteristic that we have is empathy and listening. Now, you may have heard of these two words n number of times in your life, in your business. Some people really pay attention to it, and some think that, okay, this is one of the components. Yes, it's fine, but let's just focus on closing sales. But then, no, it's not. Listening is different from hearing. And before you start listening, you have to build empathy. Empathy for your ideal client avatar, empathy for your employees, empathy for your society, your community. And that's when you will be ready to actually listen actively, listen carefully, listen with the intention to serve your customers, to potentially solve the problems of your customers, to fulfill the needs and wants of your customers. And that is something which goes unnoticed in many businesses that I've seen, that I've been working with. And every time I have to reiterate that, are we consistently listening to our customers? Are we incorporating their feedback? Are we doing the right thing that they are looking for? Are we being consistent in that? Even that is important, because a lot of companies start with the right intention in mind, but then through the journey, they fall through the cracks because of several reasons, unavoidable reasons. It could be the business environment changing, the political environment changing, things like COVID coming in and changing our mindset completely. But then try to understand your customers are still looking for those problem solving products or services, or they want you to be behaving in a certain way. They want you to be taking care of them in a certain way. So it's super critical to actually build empathy and listen to your customers, not just by yourself, but by the whole team that you have, each and every department. Right? My next point to that is about transparency and honesty. Now, transparency and honesty builds trust, or at least it keeps building consistent trust, because you may start with transparency and trust in the beginning, but if for some reason, if you're not being on top of that, understanding whether you're still being transparent or not, each and every stakeholder in your company is being transparent internally with the employees, externally with the customers or not, you will start to fall through the cracks once again. And that's so critical to understand. And as a leader, it's your responsibility not to be involved in the business, not to be working in the business, but to be working on the business and look for these things. As a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a startup founder, you have the responsibility of working on the business to look for these things, if they are working well or not. Because the more you are working in the business, you will realize that you are getting so much more occupied by the operational needs of the business that you will start to lose track of the higher goals. And that includes transparency and honesty as well, because you might get your clients, you might grow your business, but then if you lose track of this, if your clients start to feel that you're no more transparent, you're no more honest with what problems are you solving and are you consistently doing that or not, the graph will start to go down. So these are the characteristics that you have to always be on top of it. So my next one is about delivering on the commitment. Now, the brand promise that you create, and we help clients create, either define or redefine or design or redesign their brand promise. The brand promise that you create and you broadcast through the several marketing and sales mediums, that becomes your commitment. So essentially, you are telling your client that we commit to be solving this problem for you. We commit to be providing and fulfilling your needs and wants. And if you don't keep that up, that becomes difficult, because if your commitments are not fulfilled, the customers will stop coming, and not just stop coming, but they will also start to share their negative experience globally through all the online and offline mediums. And the statistics suggest that one negative experience, which is based on not fulfilling the commitment, the promise, that at least physically that client will talk to 9 different customers, and those 9 different customers will create ripple effect of negative feedback. And you can think of it that not just this one customer is going out of your ecosystem, but this customer is pulling out so many more potential and existing customers out of your ecosystem. So that's the power of delivering your commitments. Always try to deliver your commitment. And that's the reason there are departments who are specifically responsible for specific things. But if you are the leader of the company, it's your responsibility to be looking into, are we being empathetic, and are we listening actively? All the employees in the company, are we being transparent consistently? Are we being honest? Are we delivering on our promises or not? And that's when you will see that the department heads are doing their own job, and we are doing, as leaders, we are doing the high level jobs of ensuring that the brand promise is consistently being lived across all the journey points, the touch points of the customers. What do you think, Beck?
Oh, beautifully said, Amit. I couldn't agree more. And in fact, every item that you said, I just wanted to jump in and keep backing you up the whole way. You absolutely make so much sense. A little bit I want to add to the conversation as well is, personalize the experience. No two customers are the same. They don't have the same problem. They don't have the same solution. There are no generic benefits of what you offer to your customers. So make sure that you truly are customizing every interaction that you have with your customers and personalize it for every single one of them. There's no point giving solution A to everyone because there's no same two problems that are out there. So ensure that you really do personalized service that often aligns closely with your brand promise of that customer satisfaction. And, as Amit said a little bit earlier, listening with empathy and listening is asking the customer what it is that they're actually wanting. 9 times out of 10, they will tell you what they're looking for. They've already done their research on you. They just want you to fulfill your brand promise to them. So personalize that experience. And then I also want to talk about a little bit further to what Amit was saying as well, is really soliciting feedback from your customer, but also supplier as well, or other people that you work with, or maybe within your team as well. Getting real holistic feedback on what you're doing well, what you could do better, what you could work on. Is there anything that you can flex and change, or whatever it might be? But consistently asking for feedback. I recently switched dog food, and I now get a specialized dog food delivered for my little pooch. And after my first order, they asked for 20 minutes of my time. I sat, and it was literally 20 minutes. We sat on a call, and I gave them the feedback from communication to the product to opening the product, all of that. And in return, they gave me a 20% discount. Very generous, if you ask me. However, I felt valued. And this is the whole thing. They're not going to go and change the way that they communicate with me or with all of their customers. They're going to take it on. And if they hear it enough, then they'll do something about it. But I felt like I was really listened to and felt like my opinion mattered. So you being able to understand the perspective of the customer, be it an internal or an external customer, really helps you to be able to align that sales approach towards your brand promise as well. Something else to think about. Amit, back to you.
Wow, that's so important, Beck. What you just shared is a gold mine. And following that, what I would like to also mention is measuring the customer satisfaction. So you are soliciting feedback. That's very important. And then you have another way to do it is to measure customer satisfaction. And that's the reason when I'm working with a local business owner or an SME business owner or a startup founder in the whole business process, the heart of the business and the face of the business, when we are developing for them, we always ensure that we help them build the customer experience journey mapping. So once the customer experience journey mapping is done, then we start implanting customer feedback systems at each stage of their journey mapping. And it starts even before the journey mapping starts, even before the sales happens, before. So from the branding aspect itself, so from branding to marketing to sales to operations to the whole feedback management system, there are places where the tracking, the measurement tracking systems are implanted. And once that is done, what we do is we also ensure that proactive experiential implants are also inserted at each stage of the customer experience journey mapping. And that kind of creates a wow. It creates a wow for our customers because they're not expecting that. We are doing something above and beyond. We're going an extra mile for them proactively, not just reactively, but proactively throughout the whole customer experience journey mapping. And that is something that makes them feel valued even more because we go beyond what we have committed. We go beyond what they're expecting from us. And then, of course, we have the customer experience tracking mechanism like the Net Promoter Score or customer satisfaction score or customer churn score. All those, there are several tracking mechanisms that need to be implanted at each stage of the customer experience journey mapping, that we are getting real-time feedback. Even when the customer has not finished the whole loop of their experience with us, the best part is that if there is something not going well, we still have a few more journey points left before we correct ourselves, before we engage with them. And once we engage with a customer who has a negative experience and we win their heart over, we see that they become a lifetime of unpaid brand ambassador with us. And that's the power of ensuring that we do the journey mapping, we do the experiential service proactive implants, and then we have implants of the customer experience tracking systems in place. And if everything is going well, then kudos, it's a celebration time. Reward and appreciate your team on doing the right thing, because what happens is a lot of times that they're doing the right thing, but if there is no feedback shared with them that the customer is liking your way of working, they start to feel that it's not so much important. And sometimes they start to lose track of that. They stop doing it because they get on with some other priorities in their work. And that's when the customers start to feel that, oh, now it's going down the drain. So both are important. These customer satisfaction measuring tools are important in case of not just that the experience, if the experience is not good or if the brand promise is not fulfilled, we immediately can work on turning around the experience, but also it's about when everything is going well, celebrate it, reward your team, and motivate them to keep doing it. So they know that the customers are liking a specific thing. If you're sending a specific email follow-up after the client has finished a purchase, and if the client likes that, it needs to be told to the team that, oh, this is a stage that has been liked by the customer, so let's not stop doing it. Because otherwise what can happen is that they might think that this is an additional step that we are taking and it's not needed by the customer. So we can stop actually doing that. So that's an example of how it's important to even mention what the customers like and celebrate that, so people our team members are equally motivated to do that. Yeah. Yes. Next, I would like to talk about problem resolution. Now, earlier I spoke about proactive service and experience implants. Now, of course, it's business, it's people-driven, it's technology-driven, it's system-driven, and we all are bound to make mistakes sometimes or even fail sometimes, including the systems and technologies do bounce off sometimes. So it's important to ensure that we solve the problem. If there is a problem that has come to us, we always should have a standard operating procedure for any kind of problem resolution that needs to be quickly turned around. And the customer needs to be aware at what stage of the turning around of the resolution of the problem that they are. If we don't let them know that we are working on the resolution of the problem, and if for some reason the resolution is taking some time, they may get impatient and move on to our competitors, thinking that we don't care for them. So the first thing is to have an inbuilt established standard operating procedure for any potential resolution of the problem. And then, of course, if there are something that new that comes up, the team should be immediately working on it, but then keep your customer always in the loop, starting from whether the problem has been identified. We are doing investigation into the problem. It's going to be taking 48 hours. Then if it's going to be taking more than that, then another level of communication with the customer. We are sorry that it's taking a bit of time. We are doing our best to get the investigation done. We want to touch upon a few more points so that we solve the problem, not just for you, but for every future customers. And they will understand as much as we are into the business. They also, as human beings, understand that running a business is not so easy, right? So, and anyone that is listening and watching, I would say you must have an established system of problem resolution in your company.
And that's my next point that I want to talk about is building long-term relationships that last. You know, nobody wants a one transaction customer. It costs too much money. It's easier to pull somebody back and to bring them back as a repeat customer. It costs us less. It makes us more profit. So if we focus on building relationships rather than making sales, the relationship, as Amit said previously, become loyal forever and will continue to bring in new customers, and they become an extension of your sales team because they're talking about exactly the concept that they've been working with you on as a customer. And even as Amit just said about problem resolutions, if you handle that problem really well, you automatically create loyal customers who become a long-term customer. So when you have long-term customers, you should be pretty proud to say, I'm delivering on my brand promises. This brings me to my next point, which is stay authentic. Authenticity in everything that you do, your interactions, your marketing, your sales, your however you deliver what it is that you're doing, really ensures that your customers feel like they're valued and respected, and then reinforces that brand promise of genuine care that you would give. So keep authentic. The authentic you is the best version of you. So ensure that, of course, all of this ties in together, and there's a lot of information we know, but all of this, little sprinkles of all of these different mixed herbs, help you to be able to deliver on that brand promise. Something dear to my heart, training and development. Participate in continuous training and improve your skills that really help you to align and evolve your brand standards and your promises. But not only you, everybody. We believe, Amit and I, anybody in your office, your company, your whatever, who touches a customer in any way sells. Now, it might be that they're having a barbecue on the weekend and meet a potential customer. They are an ambassador for your company. They are selling. So keep them up to date with what's going on. Professional development, training. Over to you, Amit.
Amazing, Beck. Amazing. And with that, I would like to also think from the other side of putting myself in the shoes of the leaders, owners, entrepreneurs as well. That so far what we've been talking about, you've been if you do that, you would be putting in a lot of time, effort, money, and everything else. So now is the time that you start leveraging on all your hard work, and that is by using testimonials and case studies. And this is one of my favorite things, because I truly believe that we spend a lot of time, effort, and money in really serving the customer well, fulfilling our brand promise, and to further educate our new potential and existing customers how happy are the customers because of our brand promise that we are fulfilling. So don't be shy, because a lot of business owners, I feel that if they're so down to earth that they feel that, oh, this will be like showing off our successes. It's not about that. It's about making your potential customers also realize that yes, it's a proof device for you to be showcasing that yes, you are fulfilling your brand promise. And it's not a little task to really fulfill that. It's a big effort that you've been taking. So why not leverage on that, right? Also, internal communication is something that I would like to touch upon, and that's about maintain equal and consistent communication, not just externally with your customers and prospects, but also internally with your employees, with all your departments, so that everyone is on the same page. They know what we are communicating to our clients. They know because whatever we communicate to our clients, whatever we promise to our clients, it needs to be delivered not just by you, but everyone else in your company. So it's important that everyone is aware of what we are promising, and they become the stakeholders of fulfilling that brand promise. And that will make your work easier rather than trying to ensure that everyone is indirectly fulfilling the brand promise, right? Also the use of technology and tools that can be helpful in order to make your work of fulfilling your brand promise easier. And the example could be like utilizing CRM systems, where you will be able to track the details, not just the details of all your customers, but also their preferences, their likes, their dislikes, so that your team has one single point of communication, where they can go and check what the likes and dislikes of your customers are. And the same CRM system could be used for email marketing as well, for showcasing your case studies and your success stories with your new clients as well.
Nice. Hey, what about benchmarking as well? You know, thinking about how do you compare your performance against industry standards or even your competitors as well? You know, really helping to understand if your brand promise is competitive and it's being fulfilled.
Yes, that's absolutely important. It's a no-brainer that we need to be having a benchmarking in our business as well. And also, I would like to talk about, since we've been in the last 2 months, we've been talking about a lot of different ways of ensuring to fulfill our brand promise. It's also important that we adapt and innovate as we go along the journey, because things keep changing. The business environment keeps changing. Your competitor will change. New competitors will come. They will have their own way of working, which could be liked by your customer. And in order to avoid your customers going, you need to be always on top of that. What's coming? What's new? What needs to be brought into our company by adapting, that we always remain ahead of the curve with our competitors. So innovation and being adaptive is like a DNA of any successful business. If you have it, you will always thrive. If you don't, you will always struggle. What do you say, Beck?
Oh, you're absolutely right. And that kind of brings us to the end of our session today. We've got a little bit over, but I think it's really important that we got through all of our areas. But just as a little roundup, that by following what Amit and I have shared over the last 2 months, today and last month, you guys can really ensure that it's not just selling a product or service, but it's upholding and fulfilling the brand promise that you wrote, the company wrote, and therefore enhancing customer loyalty and satisfaction, which ultimately brings in higher revenue and, more importantly, great profit margins. Thank you so much for joining us this week and month.